If I had to pick a favorite fictional character, it would probably be Batman. I know that my choice is cheating, because Batman is tough to define. He exists in so many wildly different iterations, so to be more specific, my favorite is any version of the character adjacent to Batman the Animated Series and its counterpart, the new Batman Adventures. I enjoy the crime fighter and the detective, but what draws me in is the idea that someone so dark and truly scary can be sympathetic and selfless. The showrunners, especially Paul Dini, had a deep understanding of Gotham's inhabitants, and Batman the Animated Series is responsible for bringing complex characters into mainstream conversations. I still enjoy recent Batman media, but the direction it's headed worries me, and this from Zack Snyder sums it up perfectly.
I think that I have that there's that bit he wakes up and there's just painkillers on his bedside table and he just pops them and drinks some wine. I'm just to me that's Batman.
Whether you agree with Zack Snyder's opinions or not, this idea that Batman and his universe need to be darker and more brutally realistic are taking the humanity out of the world. I think Mask of the Phantasm is the best Batman movie, and really fleshes out the origin story of Bruce Wayne becoming Batman. Pretty much everyone understands the murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne and how that led to Batman, but some people get it backwards. Batman was born the day the gun was fired and Martha's pearl necklace snapped. Batman is the true identity. Bruce Wayne is nothing more than a mask, which allows him to remain inconspicuous and gain funds to complete his real goal of preventing another life in Gotham from being taken away like his family was. He doesn't even view himself as Bruce. In one of the most famous scenes in the film, Bruce visits his parents' grave, pleading that they forgive him for wanting to give up his attempts to avenge them, which is something they never asked or expected him to do.
I don't want to let you down, honest, but it just doesn't hurt so bad anymore. You can understand that, can't you?
Bruce is emotionally destroyed by the concept that he is finally getting over their death, and more importantly, he is in love with Andrea. Bruce is conflicted with the idea that he cannot live a life of love as Batman. This shows that Batman's greatest weakness, or strength, depending on how you interpret it, is happiness.
I know I made a promise, but I didn't see this coming. I didn't count on being happy.
And when that love eventually falls out of Bruce's hands, the path of a normal life is no more, and Bruce turns to the only thing left in his life, which is Batman. He decides that he cannot be saved from his fate, nor would he want it any other way. When Bruce first holds the Batsuit, he is already fully engulfed in darkness. He is only donning a mask to match it. And when Alfred sees him, he is horrified, because any chance of another future has been severed. Bruce Wayne can never come back. Batman operates under the selfless belief that he himself can never and will never be happy. He can only hope to change others' lives. It's hard for me to believe that in any way Bruce would be taking pills, or Batman would kill. To make this happen would mean reworking the entire origin story, because if pills are the response to his parents' death, then what is Batman? A fun side project? Dressing up as a bat and spending every waking second dedicated to recapturing the same 15 people over and over takes extreme dedication and is clearly a sign of someone who is mentally unwell. The most common criticism of Batman is that he's overshadowed by his villains. There's no denying that the members of Gotham's Rogue Gallery are the most iconic comic villains of all time, but what also makes them stand apart from most other comic villains is their humanity. Their motivations aren't simply controlling the world or killing their hero. They are tragic figures with clear intentions, and no other series outlines them better than Batman the Animated Series. Mr. Freeze is motivated to commit crime to save his wife. Poison Ivy is motivated to end the mad campaign of botanical genocide. Penguin seeks revenge on the elite socialites who mocked his appearance and refused to accept him. And the Joker is just chaos. There's a reason why so many Batman stories include a villain's origin, because their motivation is important. But beyond themselves and their own characterization, it's their connection to Batman that makes them interesting. Nearly every member of the Rogues Gallery reflects an aspect of Batman. Poison Ivy's obsession to her own cause, Two-Face's struggle with an extreme dual identity, Clayface's abandonment of a true identity. The Joker stands as a perfect foil of chaos to order through his appearance. Batman being a terrifying man with good intentions, while the Joker presents himself as a happy clown with evil intentions. Besides the Joker, they all began with positive goals, but were overtaken by darkness. That's what separates them from Batman.
Vengeance blackens the soul, Bruce. I always feared you would become that which you fought against. You walk the edge of that abyss every night. But you haven't fallen in, and I thank heaven for that.
Batman the Animated Series evolved the characters in its universe so well because the writers were forced to have a moral of the story for its intended age group. This brings us back to Zack Snyder and the modern views of Batman. The idea that Batman is someone so dark that he cannot possibly sympathize with his enemies could not be further from the truth. Batman wants his villains to be better people. He wouldn't kill because Batman doesn't want another human to experience what he did as a child. And again, Batman is a tough-to-define character with countless versions, so to create a killing one is fine, but his origins need to be drastically different. To me, the most memorable moments of the show consist of Batman's attempts to help.
There's one thing I gotta know. How'd you stay with me all day, risking your butt for someone who's never given you anything but trouble?
I know what it's like to try and rebuild a life. I had a bad day too, once.
Bruce Wayne picked up the tab for this?
Yes.
Good old Bruce, he's never given up on me. Always been my best friend. I remember when we used to close the town at the Half Moon Club. Most fun we ever had.
And the inspiration for this video, the episode Baby Doll, one of my personal favorites. Baby Doll usually appears fairly high on ranking lists for the series, but can never seem to beat out classics like Almost Got Him, Trial, Two-Face, Heart of Ice, and Robin's Reckoning. These, alongside nearly every episode of the show, are fantastic, but Baby Doll stands out to me because it shows the clearest relationship between our hero and our villain. The episode follows the new original villain, Baby Doll, a retired actress on the canceled TV sitcom Love That Baby.
I didn't mean to.
Who has begun abducting her old co-stars. Baby Doll, or Mary Doll, suffers from hypoplasia, which prevents her body from physically maturing.
Would you believe she was 20 years old in that clip? She'd be about 30 now.
Baby Doll has captured her co-stars and holds them hostage on the set of Love That Baby. Turns out that Mary was never able to escape the character of Baby Doll, and all of their attempts of acting were met with horrible reviews. Her final plan was returning to the character and stay with her fake family forever by killing them all, including herself, at once. Of course, her plans are foiled by Batman, who chases her all the way to the fair, a location where Baby Doll is surrounded by children. Up until this point, right before the final sequence of the episode, the similarities between Bruce Wayne and Mary Doll are evident. Both Batman and Baby Doll suffer from trauma that life has dealt them. Batman is a character who has had his options in life cut short after the death of his parents. Baby Doll, in the same way, had her entire life built around an identity on a television show, one where she received love and praise. After Love That Baby ended, and all of her acting attempts failed, Baby Doll believed that she had lost her true family of cast members, and her time on the show was the only point in her life where she was truly happy.
We were just playing characters in a TV show. It was real to me. Everybody loved Baby Doll until you came along. You made them forget me.
Bruce Wayne's childhood was cut short, forcing him into adulthood, while Baby Doll never got to experience adulthood, as she was always trapped in the body of a child. Stuck in a cycle of self-hatred, Mary was forced to adopt the persona of a child in response to no one accepting her true self.
I remembered how happy I was with all of you around me and the folks at home watching me each week. Me.
Baby Doll.
Embodying the character she despised being. No different than Batman, who has forced himself into acting out a representation of his trauma. Batman believes in rehabilitation with all his villains, but his obvious first goal is to get them off the streets. So it's interesting how as Batman chases her through the tunnel, he calls out that he can help her.
Don't run away. I know you're scared, confused. I can help you.
Batman is making it clear that he knows that Mary is not only mentally unwell, but not so different from himself. The next room is a hall of mirrors, which casts Baby Doll in a myriad of distortions, except for the final tall one, which presents herself as what she calls the real me, or how she looks in her imagination, in her fantasy.
The real me. There I am.
She turns to Batman, blaming him for not allowing her to remain in fantasy, to not confront the reality of her own life.
Why couldn't you just let me make believe?
The mirrors that she shoots are not reflections of herself, but Batman. Not only is Mary using Batman to avoid her own internal problems, but also Batman is her at this moment in the story. Back to Bruce in Mask of the Phantasm, realizing the possibility of overcoming the trauma that changed the course of his entire life, but ultimately having that taken away from him and returning to the only path left, one that he created for himself. After taking the cancellation of her show as an opportunity to explore other avenues of entertainment, Baby Doll fails and believes because of her appearance she can only be happy on her show, surrounded by the disillusion of a family and a community that supports and values her as the important center of attention. But as she turns to the final mirror, Baby Doll is confronted by her own imagination, a representation of what could have been if she wasn't dealt the hand of her condition. And after the tears, she decides to shatter this representation, this illusion, leaving no more fantasy in her life. No more family, no more voice, no more Baby Doll, and now no more fantasy. All that's left is the broken mirror and a reflection of her true self. As the camera pulls back in the final shot of the episode, Baby Doll hugs Batman's leg and utters her famous catchphrase,
I didn't mean to.
It doesn't matter that this is Mary speaking. These two personalities have become one, and she will never be able to escape either. Her life and character are synonymous. As she hugs his leg, Batman doesn't apprehend her, but comforts her, as he realizes that they are not too different. Products of their own environments. A man who never got to be a child, and a woman who was never an adult. As villains like the Joker get only more psychopathic, deranged, and aimless, Batman will be forced to stoop down to their level. Batman is a symbol, one of fear and power, but also one of hope.
I
I am the Knight. I am Batman!